So like, okay, see if you all can think of anything. It's content.
This one. I want to look at the screen. Let's see my presentation. Can we go ahead? Hi, good afternoon, friends. Myself, SB Kulkarni. I will give a brief introduction of myself. Uh, I have done my degree in civil engineering from VJTI way back in 1980. Then I worked on construction sites for almost 10, 11 years. I did a lot of residential and industrial projects. Then I did my master's in management in 91 and joined cement industry in the marketing division. I have worked for Aditya Birla Group in Ultratech Cement for 27 years. I retired as a Vice President Technical Services in 2017, and since then I have been working as a technical consultant. Currently, I am working as a principal techno marketing consultant with Durocrete Engineering Services Private Limited. Durocrete Engineering Services have a chain of state-of-art construction material testing laboratories in Maharashtra, and we work on pan-India basis. Well, friends, I welcome you to the 32nd webinar in the Tata Tiscon eDiscovery series. I really thank Tata Tiscon for this opportunity to come again on this platform and give my presentation on best construction practices during monsoon. It's lovely weather in Mumbai here. It's raining, and hopefully, I think the right topic for you all, engineers, in this monsoon season. And I hope that you're all safe and doing good. In fact, it is a season to sit back in the house, watch the rain from the windows, and enjoy the hot pakodas and adrak wali chai. So never mind. Today I want to keep you engaged for roughly next 1 hour on this presentation on best construction practices during monsoon. Uh, the same webinar will be conducted in Hindi at 5:30 p.m. today, and any person who is interested to join is most welcome. And I will be taking up the questions at the end of the session. If you have any questions, you can note down during the webinar, and you can post them also. And we will try to take maximum number of questions at the end of the presentation. So, friends, we will start with our presentation. It is not getting stolen. So, all attendees are muted, and as uh, told by me, uh, the questions will be taken at the end of the session. So today we will discuss the rain and its impact on construction activity. Of course, rain affects all the activities, uh, and we will be particularly focusing on construction activity. First, we will see how can rain impact construction projects. See, there is overall disturbance. I mean, you think of material movement, you think of execution of the work, you think of machinery movement, and the progress of the work. Overall disturbance is there because the rains won't allow you to do your normal activity. Many times it rains so heavily that the rain forces the construction workers to abandon the work and just sit in the shades available and wait for the rains to stop. A lot of damage to the property and materials also happens during rains, particularly the material which is stored in open area. There is financial loss because the progress of the work is highly hampered. The time is lost, and we always say, time lost is money lost. So the project, speed hampers the you can't, take care of the targets, and thereby there is a financial loss also. And of course, there is a time loss and delay in the completion of the project. You can't work in full swing in rainy season. Who are the stakeholders, who get impacted because of the rains? One is the project managers, their planning goes for a toss. If they have planned for something, if they want to finish certain activities in that given time, uh, the whole plan goes for a toss. The bar chart which has been prepared, with certain assumptions, here the rains will disrupt that, and the project manager will be a really worried man. Then the site engineers and supervisors who are actually executing the work at the site, they're just helpless. They can't do anything. They have to wait till the situation become normal, uh, and they can continue the work. The contractors, they have their construction workers. Construction workers also sit idle, and perhaps they have to be given the wages without getting work done from them also. That is how also there is a financial loss. And of course, the visitors, it is difficult to entertain the visitors, like architects, consultants, or project management consultants. They would like to visit and see the progress and discuss and uh, take care of some bottlenecks, etc. But then even they will think twice before visiting the site, because it may not be, the site may not be accessible and all those problems. So when monsoon comes, the first question that comes to our mind is whether are you ready for site preparedness for monsoon? And monsoon preparedness, it can be looked in two ways. One is the damage control plan. Uh, you know that there is going to be some damage during monsoon in terms of men, material, money, time, etc. And but have we prepared for that? Have we, planned for the preventive measures? So these are two important issues. The problems will be there, but it is very important to know whether we have prepared, we are fully prepared with our preventive measure plan. So again, discussing about monsoon preparedness, it can be looked upon, through various angles. First is the civil works. The civil works, how we are going to be prepared for that, whether it is excavation or trenching, etc. The most affected work is the groundwork, that is excavation, uh, which is affected. You can't excavate in the normal speed. If you are already excavated, there will be a lot of water logging. Then there will be another issue of site accessibility. Uh, Most of the sites, the roads which are provided for accessibility, they are kacha roads. I mean, it's not like a tar road or concrete road on which we take our vehicles. In the site, since it is under construction, the accessibility becomes very difficult during monsoon because all these kacha roads will become slippery. There will be slips and falls. Even the uh, cars and your other vehicles also may slip because of the muddy road, that is muddy surface that is going to be there. People who are walking on this kacha road, they may slip and fall, leading to few accidents. Then uh, we have to prepare with all our system and good practices which we are going to follow on the site. Then materials, that it is difficult to transport the material during rain. There could be delays, there could be traffic jams. So you have to perhaps carry proper inventory of materials for carrying out the work in the monsoon. uh, the material which is already there at the site, you have to protect it. You have to make a proper plan for that, how to protect the material at the site. And as I have already told you, you have to carry some additional inventory in anticipation of kind of the traffic jams and traffic issues while transporting the material from far off places to the site. There will be lot of interruptions. You may plan, for example, to do the concreting of a slab or a raft or a huge footing, and everything is ready, and suddenly suppose it starts raining very very heavily. You have no choice but to hold the work and wait till the weather becomes appropriate to continue the work, and it leads to project delays. Then operations of heavy equipment and machinery like JCBs, cranes, and other excavation machinery. All these heavy machineries, they need they need hard surface. If these machines they start working on a slippery or a muddy surface, there is a every chance that these equipments may get stuck, and your work will be hampered. Uh, Across the site, all these most of the machines, they work on electricity. There are many electrical appliances which are employed at the site. You have to be extra careful in terms of using these electrical appliances because uh, there can be short circuits. There could be leakage of electricity because of wetness, and you may get electrical shocks leading to accidents, and even there could be fatal accidents leading to deaths. And also you have to take care of stay facilities for the workers who are going to stay at the site. uh, the stay facilities have to be appropriate. I mean, you can't allow make your site workers to stay in unhealthy situation, in a waterlogged situation, in a they have to be made to stay in dry places. Their houses should be dry, no leakages. the surrounding area also should be quite good, accessible kind of thing. Now, first we will see how excavation works get affected and what are the kind of the precautions one has to take. If there are some excavated trenches which are not required for site execution, for example, in anticipation, if we have done some excavation work in the rainy season, it will have accumulation of water, and there will be very likelihood that the chance of accident is very high. So such excavated trenches should be backfilled with the proper material so that this accident could be avoided. Then if you are going to use these trenches for your concrete footing or whatever, then in that case you have to provide a barricade around the trench or pits so that nobody falls into that. Of course, water is going to be accumulated in that, but then we don't want people to uh, go in that trench or slip and fall in that trench and drown. Then the edges of the excavated trenches have to be protected so that there is no what can I say, kind of a landslide. So what we do normally is we use either metal or wooden barriers, which are known as kind of a strutting and shoring activity. So by putting this metal or wooden sheets, you can protect the walls from falling by doing the strutting and shoring. This will uh, allow you to work in the trenches comfortably without having any slippage of the surrounding soil inside the pit. When the water is already accumulated and you want to do the concreting, what you would do? There would be landslide and strutting and shoring. Of course, will take care of that. But then your pumps have to be kept ready. You should be able to pump out the water before you do the concreting, and this pump should be kept ready in a trench. There would be a kind of a small sump which will be provided so that whatever water is coming inside will be going toward that sump, and through the sump the water will be pumped out and concreting activity will continue. And these pumps which are normally run by using uh, diesel, but normally there are electrical pumps also. So you have to be more careful because when you are using electricity, you have to take care of the earthing part of it. Otherwise, you may get shocks, and it will lead to accidents. The accessibility of the site is very important. If you can't reach the site, how you will walk there? So approach roads towards site, they have to be absolutely hard. In the sense, you see, and there is this truck which is coming here. There is a lot of muddy, surface. So it has to be properly resurfaced on a regular basis so that transportation of man, material, and equipments is done smoothly without uh, causing any accidents. Now we are coming to concreting. Concreting, as far as possible on a rainy day should be avoided. But if you have to do the concreting to maintain the speed and the progress of the work, then you have to take extra precautions. For example, uh, if rain suddenly starts, then what to do. So whatever area you have already concreted, it has to be protected. So your tarpaulin or plastic sheets, they 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 have to be kept in ready position. And when rain starts, immediately the tarpaulin sheets or plastic sheet should be opened up, and the concrete which is already done has to be protected. And of course, you can wait till the rain stops, and then after that you can start reconcreting again. But by chance, if suppose you don't provide tarpaulin sheets and the whole concrete gets washed away, then what to do? Anytime it so happens that the concrete gets washed away, in the sense the cement gets washed away, and what is left there is only sand and aggregates. So under such situation, you know uh, you have to do the fresh concreting. You can't go ahead with that kind of situation. So the best thing is to, in rainy season, any concreting is done, you have to have tarpaulin sheets and plastic sheets kept aside at the side, so that you can protect the concrete from getting washed out. It is very common practice, to especially in small towns and small cities, to store the aggregates in open area. So when it rains, the aggregates, that is 10 mm aggregate, 20 mm aggregate, and sand, it is totally drenched, and there is certain amount of water absorption in these aggregates, particularly the 20 mm and 10 mm aggregates. They absorb water to whatever extent, maybe 1%, 2%, 3%, 5%, depending upon the source. So that's an issue, because uh, when you are doing concreting in a small scale, like say small batching plant like this, uh, you can adjust the water addition. But then if you are doing ready mix concrete, then this water absorption becomes a major issue, because you have to do a lot of correction uh, in the moisture content, and this moisture correction is required to maintain the, the designed water cement ratio. If it is not done, then it will increase the water cement ratio, and increase in water cement ratio means reduction in the strength of the concrete, and also it will disturb your slump. You will get unnecessary extra slump, which will create problem in compaction of concrete. Then concrete mixing is to be carried out under protected shed. Now you can see that this mixer is kept in open area, but if you are doing concreting in any season, it is better to have a small shed, where you can see this bamboos are being tied up over here. You can make a small shed around this mixer and cover it with tarpaulin from three sides, so that water doesn't enter into the hoppers here, and it doesn't disturb your water cementation. Then in large cities, using transit mixers for transporting concrete is very common. But you see the mouth of the transit mixer from where the concrete is poured down, or it is uh, filled inside. When you are transporting, if it is raining heavily, then a lot of water is likely to enter the transit mixer, and it will disturb the water content in the transit mixer. So it is always advisable to protect the transit mixer by putting some plastic sheet or some water tight membrane, so which will not allow the water to enter inside. Uh, at sites when the concrete reaches the site through transit mixer or whatever, it is common practice to use wheelbarrow to transport the concrete to the desired location. Here also, in rainy season, it is suggested that it has to be covered with plastic sheet or small tarpaulin piece, so that the concrete is not contaminated with rainwater, and you can get the concrete which you have designed for the given grade which is available there, and it goes in the right form to the location where you want to place it. Now we will talk about concreting of footing and column. Concreting of footing is difficult due to waterlogging. Now you see, in this kind of footing, if it is already filled up with water, you have erected this steel cage, and you want to do concreting and it is already filled up with water. What you will do? So under such situation, you have to pump the water out. Now you have to see that it is in a dry condition, and then you can do the concreting, and after the concreting is done, then it is immediately covered with the plastic sheet or tarpaulin sheet. But if suppose it is continuously raining and still you want to do the concreting work, it is advisable not to do concrete when it is continuously raining. In few cases, if it is a small work, it's not a regular practice, but some people they use dry mix. They take out the water and then put dry mix concrete, means the concrete with all ingredients without water, and that is thoroughly mixed, and then put into the uh, footings or whatever is your location, and then even if water goes inside, then uh, water goes inside, then the concrete settles down with the water that is going inside. But this is not a good practice. I will not recommend that. But I have seen few people doing that. But I will not recommend that. Then when we do the concreting of the columns also, here also the top portion, the top 7-8 inches is directly exposed to the rain, and this concrete becomes weak when you do the concreting of column in a rainy situation. So uh, the ideal situation is when you do the concreting, you finish it and then you cover it with some plastic sheet or something, so that water doesn't enter into the column. And still, as a precautionary measure, what is recommended that when you want to do the next pour of the concrete in this area, is advised that the top 7-8 inches concrete should be broken and removed, because it is likely to have weak concrete because of more water cement ratio in this top area. 7-8 inches is in this area could be having weaker concrete, so it is better to remove that concrete and then recast the upper portion. Now we will talk about the terrace waterproofing. Should we do terrace waterproofing in rainy season? My first answer to this question would be it should be avoided. Uh, but there is a second school of thought. Many people feel that waterproofing work done in rainy season lasts longer and it has got less leakages, etc., etc. Perhaps they are saying it because suppose you do the waterproofing. This is a brickbat cover typically. You do waterproofing during the dry on the dry day, and it starts raining after that. Maybe next day or after 2 days or something like that. So the curing part is very well taken care of in such situation. If your work is completed and then it starts raining after 2 days, so you don't have to worry. So 100% curing, is ensured in rainy season. You don't have to worry about it. But the same situation if you do in the summer, you know, if the curing is not done properly, then your waterproofing work may develop cracks. So ideally, during rains, you should avoid doing waterproofing, terrace waterproofing, and only on the dry day you can perhaps plan for it. And if it rains after that, no issue, no issues. The most affected works are the external works during rainy season. I'm sure every one of you agrees with me. For example, external works like this external plastering. It is very difficult to do this kind of external plastering, because the rain will wash the mortar which is being applied here, and because the rain is taking away the cement, particularly cement from this mortar. This plaster becomes very mortar if it is exposed to the rain. It becomes very porous. The plaster becomes porous, and you will get a lot of seepages and leakages through this plastered surface which is exposed to rain. So what is the solution? Solution is you should avoid doing external plaster. You should do the external plaster before the rainy season starts. That is the best solution. But if that is not possible, then I have seen many at many sites at the top of the at the roof level, above the scaffolding, plastic sheets or tarpaulin sheets are provided so that the rain, doesn't directly hit the wall, which is taken up for plastering. And under the shade of that plastic or tarpaulin sheet, the plastering work is continued. And still, I feel that the external plaster work should be avoided during rainy season. It is better to complete the external plaster work before the rainy season starts or after the rainy season. Uh, on all major infrastructure projects, it is impossible to carry the work without using these heavy equipments like JCBs and tower cranes and all these heavy equipments. Of course, with these equipments you can do very fast work and uh, with a lot of efficiency. But these heavy equipments need hard surface to operate them, efficiently. In rainy season, if the ground is slippery or it is very muddy, then the chances of this equipment getting stuck are very heavy. You can't move the equipment from one place to other if it gets stuck, and these equipments are so heavy that you'll have to literally employ special cranes to to take them out of this uh, tricky situation where the equipment wheels are stuck in the mud. You can see one crane here, which is already toppled. The, this wheel is already stuck inside the pit. Perhaps it has slipped into that. This not only hampers the work progress, but this can also lead to accidents, if this crane, or these equipments, they fall, and if people get trapped below that, there is going to be a fatal accident. So, as I mentioned earlier, the approach roads within the site campus, before any season only, all these roads have to be resurfaced well, and it is to be ensured that these roads remain in that you know good motorable condition throughout the rainy season. So you may be wondering then what to do. Should we stop the work in the rainy season? The answer is definitely we cannot afford to stop the work during rainy season. Uh, so what are the kind of the works which are recommended in rainy season? So I would suggest that we should plan before the rainy season to do all the internal works inside the building should be taken up in the rainy season. For example, internal plastering work. This internal plastering work can continue without any interruption. Absolutely no problem. Then you can do the plumbing and sanitation work inside the building very comfortably. You can do the waterproofing of bathrooms and uh, other areas which are within the area of the building. Then you can do tile fixing. There is no problem in doing the tile fixing also. Then you can do uh, painting also if your internal plaster is ready. Doors and windows fitting, that can be done. So you can think of all these and many other works which can be carried out inside the building during any season. And if you plan for this kind of works well in advance, you can arrange for the manpower required, for this kind of work. You can arrange for all the materials that is required. You can store the material. You can carry the inventory for carrying out these works. And uh, what you are losing by not doing external work, perhaps you can make up to an extent by doing internal work. But still, of course, there will be some loss of progress, some loss of work progress, because you can't operate with full efficiency in rainy season, particularly in open areas. So we should try to compensate that by doing internal work. Now we will talk about material protection. Uh, the most affected material, quality wise, is cement. Because if your aggregates get wet, your sand gets wet, there is no uh, loss of property except the water absorption, which is going to be there, which can be taken care of by doing the moisture correction. But if cement gets damaged because of the rains, then that cement is going to be useless, because it will be semi-hydrated cement and which will lose partial strength. So under such situation, what should be done? In rainy season particularly, the cement go down, have to be kept in a dry condition, right? From all sides. I mean, your roof should be leak proof. There should not be any leakages from the roof. Then your walls should not have any kind of a seepage, and the flooring also should be dry. And basically, the cement go down itself should have some 2 to 3 feet plinth, so that the water which is accumulated around the godown, it doesn't enter inside the godown. Then the godown doors and windows should be strictly closed all the time during the rainy season so that water doesn't enter inside the cement godown. Then the cement should be placed away 1 to 2 feet away from the walls. You cannot, keep the cement bags touching the walls when you store them because otherwise what will happen? If there is, if suppose there is some seepage, then the cement bag will catch that seepage and that hydration will take place and granulation will happen. And it is always recommended to provide these wooden platforms like this, maybe 6 inch, 9 inch height, above which the cement bags are stored like this. So that if there is by chance any water seepage and if the floors are wet, then your cement bag again may get damaged. And it is recommended that it should be covered with tarpaulin. There should be tarpaulin at the bottom also, and then the tarpaulin should cover the entire cement bags from all sides so that the exposure to the humidity and moisture is avoided. As regards to aggregates and sand, it is always recommended that proper shade should be provided at site to uh, store these aggregates. Normally, you see most of the RMC plants, you will have these kind of shades provided where this separation wall is there, and you can store different aggregates like sand. This is fine aggregate, 10 mm aggregate, 20 mm aggregates, and so on in a separate bins, and there is a proper shade with the uh, top fully covered. And under such situation, it gets well protected, but still some portion is likely to be exposed to rains. So proper moisture correction, etc., are to be employed, and your mix design can be tweaked. Now we will come to protection of steel. How to protect the steel? So we have shown here. There is of course tarpaulin sheet shown here. Tarpaulin sheets are supposed to be covering the steel stacks. Then you see these wooden blocks here. Wooden blocks on which the steel is placed so that the steel is not uh, directly getting affected because of the water which is accumulated here. And you see some aggregate is also being laid on this surface to keep the surface little dry. This helps the drainage of the water also. You can see there is a rack. There is a rack provided at the site where bars of different diameters are stored separately under a shade. So, what is the disadvantage of this steel getting exposed to moisture? It will immediately start rusting. You know that oxygen, water, and steel, if they come together, rusting starts. So even steel needs to be protected. Otherwise, during any season, it will heavily rust. So since we are talking about steel, I think it is the right time to see a small product film by the sponsors, and I request the sponsors to show their product film, and after that we will again catch up with my presentation. Yeah, sponsors, please show the uh, product film which you have. Yes. So just now we have covered protection of steel. Uh, how steel was that we protected just now. We have just now seen the sponsors uh, product film also. Now we will talk about worker stay facilities at the site. This is very important aspect, because the workers who are working 24 by 7, uh, they have to have a proper stay arrangement, because there is a lot of physical work involved. They get highly tired by doing heavy work on the site, and when they go back to their shelters, to their temporary quarters, if they find that it is waterlogged and they can't sleep properly, there is no dry place. It's a very very bad situation. So these temporary quarters, they should be built at an elevated place, preferably, so that there is no water logging in and around these temporary quarters. Uh, those and these should be watertight, so that the the inside area remains dry uh, during the rains. Throughout the rainy season, it should be uh, it should be a kind of a comfortable stay for workers when they go back after doing a lot of heavy work. They should not fight against the rain. It should be absolutely a dry, environment inside their shelter, so that they can rest properly and get ready uh, when they want to do work next day. Uh, and one more thing is, the stay facility should be absolutely dry and worthy of staying there during rain. But at the same time, the approach road should be also uh, very good. Otherwise, if they have to go to their temporary shelters through mud and through a very loosely managed road, that's not expected. They should have a proper dry approach road, hard approach road to reach the quarters, and the surrounding area should be fully lit up during nights for safety and to avoid accidents. These are very important things. And also, you can imagine, if the area is not lit up, uh, these workers, they work 24 by 7 on major projects. So suppose somebody is working in the second shift, and if he goes back to the quarters, say at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the night, it is very likely that he may meet with an accident if the area is not lit up properly. So that is also very important. All the site, the prominent areas where it is likely that one may meet accidents, the signboards are to be displayed. This is a very important thing. You can see these signboards, like report all accidents immediately, construction work in progress, and the children should be kept away from the site. Then protective shoes are to be worn. Then if some deep excavation is happening, there is a sign to indicate that yes, there is a danger and deep excavation is happening. If there is blasting work happening, then also the display has to be there. Then no access for unauthorized person. Why should any unauthorized person enter into the site and invite problem for him? So all these, safety warning boards should be displayed throughout the year, but particularly in rainy season. One has to ensure that these signboards they remain intact during the rainy season in their location, because because of the rains, it is very likely that the signboards may get distorted or they might fall down. So you have to ensure that the signboards remain there in their place throughout the rainy season. See another 3 4 signboards display warning boards. Here high voltage, particularly near this electrical room. Uh, One should not go by mistake there and touch the live wires. And deep excavation is there. This is another signboard. Then this slippery area is there. So this kind of signboards have to be there. And this site is going to be a kind of cordoned off using this reflective tape and flickering revolving red lights, so that one can see the construction works from a distance, and he can stay away if he's not supposed to go there, and avoid getting an accident. In spite of all the precautions, if suppose accident happens, some fatality happens, then what is to be done? Then the site should have first aid arrangement at the site. If it is a very big site, we see that ambulance is normally available at the site, which can immediately transport the injured person to the nearby hospital. If it is a small site, then uh, the site office must have telephone numbers of nearby hospitals, fire brigade, ambulance, providing agency, etc. So that if something happens immediately, you can dial the number and get the services at the site. So uh, these are the basic requirements, and it's particularly in rainy season, when more chances of uh, accidents are there, you should have these kind of facilities available. Manpower safety is very important during rain. So all manpower to take extra care in terms of protecting themselves from waterlogging, site downing, etc. If, uh, if if necessary, then only the night shift work should be encouraged. Otherwise, night shift should be discouraged during rainy season. But infrastructure projects, they work in a very tight situation in terms of uh, targets for meeting their timelines. So under such situation, if the night work has to be done, then the entire site has to be lit up. You can see this site; it has been lit up very well, and you can see very well all around the site. Otherwise, if there is low visibility, the chances of accident they increase like anything. Then the scaffolding during heavy rains they become slippery, and people are using scaffolding to move around, and if scaffolding is slippery because of the rain, the chances of falling from the scaffolding are very high. So you can see here the safety belts are there. The site management should see that people use these safety belts, and they protect themselves from falling down. And these scaffoldings are supposed to be inspected regularly during rainy season to ensure that uh, the ground on which these scaffoldings are resting, it remains hard throughout because it's muddy or wet surface, then the scaffolding may sink and it may lead to accidents. All these electric mains, etc., and connections are supposed to be protected during rains to avoid short circuits and loose earthing connection if any have to be examined and corrected. Otherwise, fatal accidents may happen because of the electric shocks. So we have come to the end of the presentation, and to summarize, I can say that rain can impact your construction projects in a variety of ways. Actually, the overall work progress get disturbed. It forces construction workers to abandon the work. There is the damage to the property and materials. There is the financial loss, time loss, delay in completion of the project. So one need to take care of several aspects of the project for the monsoon, whether it is excavation, whether it is accessibility to the site by providing hard surface for taking your vehicles and men and material there, whether you're doing concreting, terrace waterproofing, external works, of course, we said should be avoided, but internal works can go in full swing. Use of heavy equipments and machinery like JCBs and cranes, you have to ensure that it has to be run on a hard surface. Then all the materials like cement, what we call spine aggregate, force aggregate, it has to be protected. Even steel has to be protected. And worker stay facilities are to be maintained in tip-top condition to keep them safe and healthy. And mostly, and most importantly, the safety of uh, men who are working there is very important because life is very precious and one has to take care of all that. I think with that I have come to end of my presentation. Thank you very much for patient listening. Now we can take a few questions. If there are any questions, I think you have to post them. 5 minutes, yeah. Yeah, we have one more presentation which will start in another half an hour. So we will take few questions. These many questions. The first question is from Ramakant Dubey. He says we are facing especially casting of slab in rural area. He has not typed his question fully, but what I guess is that casting of slab in rural area, precautions that are to be taken is that you see that you protect the slab by covering it with tarpaulin. That is the main thing, and don't allow water to enter your mixture. Otherwise, it will disturb your water supply. What are the most challenging work in rainy season? That is the question asked by Akshay Kumar. Challenging work is mostly the excavation work, because once you are out of the plinth, then you can manage it somehow. But if you are below the ground level and if your plinth level is not yet reached, then working inside an excavated pit is very challenging. That is the most challenging. Third, next question is what to do if it starts raining while slab casting. You have to cover the slab which has already been cast with a tarpaulin sheet and wait till the rain stops. During heavy rains, it is not recommended to do. So the next question is why can we use rusted steel? See, the rusted steel, any rust on the steel means you are losing some part of the steel, and uh, the rust in the steel, the steel expands once it rusts. So you will get cracks in the long run. It is not uh, then there is Vipaji wants to ask such sections available in the market. If perhaps talking about the Tata's product presentation, yes, these are available. Uh, in Srikant is asking something about there is some disturbance over there. Okay, good evening, Srikant from the city of Kulkarni. I am a practicing civil engineer and engineer. I have been with staff and the management of Tata to share the contact details. Okay, that will happen. The sponsors will do that. They will give you all the contact details. You can approach them. Next question from Uday is how can we save cement and all material starting new site? I already mentioned about how to protect the cement in a godown. So I don't have to again repeat all that. So Virendra wants to know whether the oxidized rods can be used during season. In fact, if you have pre-coated steel members, those can be comfortably used. How to avoid seepage in AAC block machinery? You have to use, polymer blended plastering materials that will take care of seepages. Uh, the basic steel coating, to avoid rusting. Desimara wants to know. There are some rubber-based paints available to coat the steel that can be. I think thank you very much. Those were the questions. So thank you very much. Uh, Thank you for raising your questions. I tried to answer in the given time. We have the same webinar to be continued at 5:30. Those who are interested can join. Take